It's time to get the lowdown on Brad Brinegar. We're sitting here with Brad Brinegar, CEO of McKinney, one of the top ad agencies in the world, creator of some of my favorite ads, Nationwide Insurance, and my personal favorite, the Travelocity Roaming Gnome. Hey, Brad.
Hey there.
You majored in anthropology and philosophy.
Yeah.
With your MBA in finance. What was your original goal with those degrees?
Maybe it's the times, maybe it's just a belief in good liberal arts education, but I really didn't have a goal. It was to figure out how to think and to be able to solve problems, and I figured that somewhere along the way I'd figure out what I wanted to do.
Good job.
And so how long did it take you to decide, ad agency? I know your first job was at Leo Burnett, and so what pushed you into that?
It was kind of avoidance of things that I knew I didn't want to do. So, deciding to major in finance in grad school was really because it was something I didn't think I would learn on my own. And I figured if I'm paying the tuition, I ought to study something that I probably wouldn't do myself. Indeed, I learned very quickly that I did not want to be in finance. And I was in grad school in New York, and I learned very quickly living on the Upper West Side of New York with no money that I did not want to live in New York. So not New York, not finance, what do I do? How about Chicago and advertising? So I talked myself into a summer job at Burnett, an internship, and fell in love with the business. And so when I got out of school, went back there and spent 2 decades at Burnett.
Right, and then so you moved up to CEO of Leo Burnett.
So I was actually there 18 years. I left to launch another company called Ammirati Pierce Lintas in Chicago, and then was recruited back to run the U.S. company.
Right. And so what was the main thing you think that contributed to that rise? Was it just desire? What was the hard work?
We talk a lot about people's career plans. A lot of people plan their careers ahead of time. I never really did. For me, it was if I can do something that I love doing, then I'm going to do a good job at it. So it seems kind of like an accident that I ended up where I did. But I think part of it is just a real passion for understanding how people make decisions and think, which is kind of what the anthropology degree was about. And part of it is just a love of the creative process. I also edited my college humor magazine.
Really?
Yeah, got rid of all of my sense of humor doing that. But I think that actually kind of pointed me to advertising too, as you can see where art and commerce come together. But I think in our business, more than anything else, it's resilience. There are a lot of people who can say no, and a lot of ideas get shot down.
Yeah. Was there a worst idea, a worst pitch that you or your team gave to somebody?
Nothing that really stands out. I have to say, it's just
you're just that good.
Yeah.
Well, no, I'm just that used to going back to the well.
What is your best pitch that didn't make it?
I think you learn in this business that there are so many different ways of solving a problem that if you get wedded to any one approach, you end up in trouble. And so I really don't think of anything that, boy, if we'd only sold that.
So do you still get nervous when you pitch the big accounts?
It's like a Broadway show, right?
Yeah.
And it's like part of it's the content. You got to deliver the play, but it's also how you deliver it. And so much of the success we've had in new business has been because we develop really good chemistry, not only with each other, which we have because we all love each other down at McKinney, and it's a great place to be, but because clients can feel that, and so just being able to walk in with that kind of pressure and still be who you are is you always get butterflies. If you don't, there's something wrong.
It's not worth it.
You probably don't care enough, right?
Yeah.
Right. When you go in and you're talking about how watching a play, there's an emotional connection there. How do you find that?
If you really look at the most powerful brands in the world, all of them are not about what they sell, but why people care. And by that I mean people make decisions to go and buy paint for a reason. They go travel for a reason. And if you can understand emotionally what it is that drives them, that's something that is universal to any brand. And a lot of clients initially think, I've got this point of difference that I really want to focus on, this, something in the widget that's different than everybody else's. But so many of those things are things that competition can come along and copy very quickly.
Right.
What you can't do is copy somebody's understanding of why people come to the category. Our Where Will Color Take You idea for Sherwin-Williams could have been for any other paint brand, but the reason they're so powerful is that we fundamentally know why people come, why people buy paint, why people travel, and then we have advertising ideas that own that for the brand.
With all the information that's out there, there's information overload, right? I mean, how can people stand out? Do you have any advice for, smaller companies who don't have a huge marketing budget to do things?
Well, and that's obviously one of the big issues with a small company. But a great example of that is our client Mizuno, which is one of the smallest players in its industry, finding a way to create brand ambassadors through social media was a real opportunity for us there. That was a case where we took 600 pairs of shoes and gave them to running influencers. And the way we did that caused 40,000 brand ambassadors to sign up, and that translated into 500,000 unique visits to their site, which then translated to incredible sales growth. And it was really just about what is it about those shoes that's very special. And Mizuno's are made for running. They are not cushy like Nikes, right? So you need to get them on people's feet out on the road. And by doing that with 600 influencers and letting them go off and spread the word, we had great impact. So it's really understanding, again, your consumer and figuring out what makes them tick and doing something that gets them excited about your understanding of them.
Well,
thank you so
I
much.
want to thank you for coming on the show. We
Hey,
appreciate your time. That's
Enjoyed
awesome. And that's the Lowdown on Brad Brinegar.